The Vacant Throne by Ed Greenwood. To Sal, fellow dreamer, for whom the journey shineth always as brightly as the destination. What is a king? A grand figure on a throne, to be cursed at and revered, the butt of muttered blame and the whispered intrigues of those who reach ever for more, cheered and gossiped over, loved most in hindsight, obeyed when near and girt in power, the one who leads, the one who sends forth, the one whose gentlest word can slay. Throw down kings who displease or despoil, for the gods send an endless supply of new ones. Had I the room and riches, I'd take home a few and train them properly. 'Twould save much wear and tear on the kingdom. From Crowns for Sale, by the Bard Castellan of Ithry, penned in the days of King Mortrim, ever so long ago. Prologue. The old minstrel shook his head. "'Tis hard to believe, lad," he said, in the depths of his empty tankard, "even for such as us. Legends come to life. 4 vagabond adventurers, one of them the Lady of Jewels, with her spells swirling around her like fire, rousing the lost king back to us." Fleros del Camper nodded, eyes shining. "I know," he almost babbled. "But it did befall, just as I've said. I was there. I stood in the throne-room on Flowfirm Isle and saw the barons kneel to the risen king." His voice was rising, he knew, but Fleros cared not. So what if the remembered thrill made him babble? He was home in Ragalar, in the tankard-hung back room of the Old Lion, and the man across the table from him had been house minstrel to the Del Campers for near a century, and tutor to Fleros since he'd been a muddy-faced boy. Old Bergin smiled and shook his head again in disbelief. Even though old Arsar had heard by now that the king had returned to Aglerta, and a shining future of peace and prosperity could well be opening up before every last jack and lady who saw the sun rise and the moon fall. The hands that had guided the fumbling fingers of Fleros on their first tentative pluckings at harp-strings and travels up and down pipes set down their tankard, and their owner asked softly, "So, what of these famous 4 now, lad? What was the last you saw of them?" Fleros took a generous swig from his own tankard and replied happily, "The risen king summoned them for a private audience."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?